astrocartography.com, where we talk all about astrocartography, the energy and story of place and location, and also whatever else I want to talk about. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about sun lines and astrocartography. Now, I have been making a full series of videos here on YouTube about the different astrocartography lines, but I haven't made a few others like the sun lines and Uranus lines because, quite frankly, I haven't been to those lines yet, those astrocartography lines yet. However, but I have been to sun parens, which are those latitude crossings, and also sun local space lines, which are different from parens and astrocartography lines. A lot of us, when we're first getting started with astrocartography, we just learn about the astrocartography lines, or those planetary lines that you see crisscrossing on that beautiful, colorful map on astro.com. But the thing is, this is just scratching the basics of astrocartography. There's actually so much more to it, and I am on a mission to teach locational astrology from a more nuanced, detail-oriented perspective, looking at relocated charts, looking at parens, looking at local space, seeing the big picture narrative arc of a place using many techniques, not just the basics of planetary lines. There's a lot of misconceptions and mistakes out there on the internet, and I am here to shed light and perspective and more depth to understanding this nuanced and complex and complicated technique. If you wanted to learn more from me, be sure to check out my locational astrology course. I have a course down below that you can join. It's 7 weeks long. It goes really in depth, dozens of hours of content, including class example calls, replays, so you can see how to read maps and charts. And you'll also be able to join our astrocartography community on Facebook, which is a really wonderful community of readers and people that are building their businesses and learning about astrocartography. I'm also in the midst of creating a certification program, so if you wanted to join my directory, my membership, become a reader, be sure to join my newsletter down below. You can join my free astrocartography newsletter, get all my free tips and advice by getting those free guides down below. I have a free astrocartography cheat sheet where you can learn about all the meanings of the different lines, as well as an astrocartography guide with the top 5 mistakes that people commonly make when looking at their astrocartography map, so that you don't make those same mistakes that most people make. I am on a mission to teach this information, and I want to get this out to as many people as possible. So if you do want to get that information, check out those free guides, that free astrocartography cheat sheet down below in the description. You'll get that sent to your email. You'll get all of my tips, my stories of all my travels and experiences going to different lines in the world. And if you wanted, you can go deeper into my blog posts and my courses. I have a lot of different offerings, a lot of different ways that you can learn about astrocartography. You can join and enroll, or you can just learn for free, but I am here to make as much content as possible so that this is accessible and bringing. All right, I know I shared a lot of information with you, so let's get started into the video. The sun in astrology is about our aspirations, our goals, our motivations in life, what we aspire to be and do. Who are we aspiring to become? The sun is the ego, and the sun is the spirit. And so when you go to places in the world where you have a sun astrocartography line, or you're within orb of a sun astrocartography, because remember, if you've seen my video on the top mistakes that people make with astrocartography, you gotta be within orb of a line. And a lot of people think you gotta live right on it. If they see a sun line will be like a state away or like 100 miles away, they're like, oh, I'm not on the line. No, you are on the line. It's within orb. You have to measure the distance between where you are and where the sun line is. You could be 300, 400, 500 miles away. You're still within orb of that planetary line. So you wanna use a measuring tool. Now, sun lines are egoic because they do represent the ego and the spirit, rather than that more intuitive, emotional moon that's more mysterious and more nourishment and safety. We've talked about moon lines in my previous video here, but sun lines are really different because they're light-filled. Sun lines are, here I am, I'm ready to be seen in this way, I'm ready to have self-actualization, self-motivation, clarity on who I am and myself and my goals in life. When you think of the sun, think of the spirit, think of Leo. Leo is that bright, enduring light. It is a fixed fire sign, which is kind of like a fireplace that consistently burns. It's not like a wildfire like Sagittarius where it spreads over many acres. And it's not a random firework or an explosion like Aries where it's that spark. But Leo is that enduring fire that steadily burns. Leo in astrology rules that sense of enduring light that's constantly giving light all the time. I think of someone who just wants to share a lot of light or be seen and give, or that childlike enthusiasm of self-expression and having fun with how you look and how you dress and just having fun in life and being seen. There's a lot of heart to Leo. There's a lot of that connection with the heart and that solar energy with Leo, that childlike play energy with Leo. And so when you're thinking of sun lines, you could think of that Leo energy as a starting off point. But let's go a little bit deeper on the pros and cons of the sun and also the 4 angles and what you can expect on each of the angles on your astrocartography map. Before we go deeper into this, be sure to look at your sun placement in your chart. The sign, the zodiac sign that you have your sun in will give it more color and flavor about the way that you self-actualize, your aspirations, motivations, and what you aspire to be, your will and your willpower. That energy, that zodiac sign will color and give that flavor to it, as well as the natal aspects that you have, the configurations with other planets to your natal sun in your chart. Looking at those details will give you more of your personal unique story to your sun. Not everyone's going to have the same sun story because we're all different and we're all here with unique birth charts. So what are the benefits to sun lines? Well, sun lines can help give you clarity. Clarity on your goals in life, your motivations in life, what you aspire to do in life. What are you becoming? What is your will? That sense of vitality and feeling like you have a lot of energy towards something in your life, that desire to shine and give and be seen and aspire to more is a wonderful thing about the sun and going to sunline. Now, we also have the cons of the sun, and the cons of the sun are, quite frankly, arrogance, overconfidence, or a sense of the ego really coming out. You know, I think of the sense of being all about yourself, or leadership is a big key word to associate with the sun, that vitality, that leadership. But the con of leadership can be arrogance or hubris, or thinking highly of yourself, the ego coming in, the spirit coming in, rather than connecting with that intuitive, gentle energy that's also within us, our moon, our desires, our emotions, what we desire for safety and nourishment, right? The sun can get too bright or too hot. It's kind of like the analogy of the sun. It's like when you're looking at it, it's so wonderful to bask in the rays. In fact, I was doing that today, this morning. It's been gray skies here in France, and I just like stood in the sun for like 3 minutes, and I just let the sun completely soak over me. And it's so wonderful for a brief amount of time, but when you look at the sun for too long, or you're in that sunshine for too long, you start to get a little bit irritable or heated or hot, or it's too bright. It's too bright to look at. And sometimes you want some more mellow, quiet, peace, tranquility, right? Sometimes you want to have a darker energy for a time, or you want to go more inward. The sun is so bright, so in your face, so leadership spirit oriented that it can almost be a bit harsh or abrasive or egocentric. So these are some things to look out for when you're on a sun line. However, if you are someone who wants to connect with yourself, your goals in life, your motivations, your leadership qualities, sun lines would be wonderful places to connect with that. In fact, the place that consistently has connected me with my purpose, my motivations in life, my sense of leadership is Bali. I have a sun local space line going through Bali from my birthplace, as well as a sun-moon pairing in Bali. Those pairings, by the way, those latitude crossings, you do have to use a professional software to be able to visibly see those and measure the distance. They have a 70 to 75 orb of influence. So 75 miles north, 75 miles south of that pairing. I have a sun-moon pairing in Bali, and every time I've been to Bali, only twice, sadly, I want to go more, but every time I've been to Bali, I have had a moment in my life where there was a sense of a realization of what I want to do in my life. The first time was when I was there in 2017, and I decided I want to be a blogger. I want to be online. I want to share my life. I want to talk about my life and what I'm learning and the lessons and things I'm experimenting and experiencing in life. And I want to become a full-time blogger and an entrepreneur. That, when I went to Bali in 2017, that was like a huge epiphany I had. I had met so many bloggers and photographers and creative types that were so charitable and giving, and people who were volunteering and making a difference in their world through Instagram and blogging and YouTube. I'd met all these people that were doing that were leaders and giving so much, that I just felt so inspired by them. And I volunteered a lot when I was in Bali in 2017, and I just met so many people that inspired me to want to do that too. So that was the first time I went to Bali. The second time I went to Bali was actually recently this last summer, and it was a huge awakening I had. It was actually the Venus retrograde in Leo. I have Leo in the 10th house of career and vocation, and so when Venus went retrograde in that 10th house, there was just a huge reconfiguring, what do I want to do with my life? I was stepping away from my YouTube channel, which I had grown, and it became really successful, and a lot of people resonated and loved my channel. I got a book deal from it. It was this really amazing thing. But I realized that summer, like, that's not my future, and that's not where I'm going. And I'm actually starting to pave this new future for me and this new career that I need to devote more of my attention to. And the work that I do in that is going to be infinitely more impactful than any of the work I did prior. And I realized on that sun line in Bali this last summer that the work that I was now heading into, the leadership energy that I was stepping into, was really authentic and it was really different. But it was also scary because it was paving a new path, a new motivation, a new aspiration in my life. So even though I wasn't on an astrocartography, like the sun ascended, the sun MC, I was still getting that story of the sun local space and the sun parent. So this is what I mean when I say be sure to look at those different lines, because you're still getting different stories in different places. And so be sure to look at that. And so that was a really big shift that I went through. And I'll actually include a video here if you want to watch it, but you can maybe even sense, or if you watch those videos during that time, you could almost sense like a change that was coming into me, that was happening in me. I can see it. I can feel it when I'm watching the videos, because it's like I'm reminded of like what was going on, and I was going through a big shift, both in terms of my confidence and my value and my worth, and just like letting go of the past 4 years in a new way that felt really exciting. It's also big with the Venus retrograde I was going through in the 10th house, but still, like, that energy was so beautiful and amazing when I was in Bali, and I felt so damn good. But at the same time, there was that con of like, when I was in Bali, I was at times, I feel like, a little overconfident. Like, I had these moments privately where I was like, how is this video not getting 10,000 views? Like, what the hell? Like, this works amazing. I don't feel like that, like, on the daily in my life, in my personal life or anything. But when I was on that sun line, that sense of like, that Leo quality of like the lion, like wanting more attention, was definitely a theme that I experienced when I was on that sun line. So something interesting to note, the con of the sun lines. Okay, now that we talked about the sun, let's go a little bit deeper on the 4 angles, the 4 astrocartography lines, or when the sun was angular at the 4 different points in the relocated chart, and we can understand more about what that would mean for you. So let's start with the sun ascendant, or the sun ASC line, sun AS. The sun AS is you. It's your sense of self. You'll want to pull up your relocated chart to see what house is this happening for you. Is it happening in the 12th house, or is it happening in the 1st house? That'll give you some more context and information as to what area of life this is happening. But the sun on the ascendant is big on you self-actualizing. So your sense of self, who you are, your actions that you're taking, what you're doing in your life. You are radiating solar energy. So it's a really great place for leadership, connecting with your sense of self and what you want, getting that clarity in who you are, and also shining like the sun. It's also very good for health, typically, unless you've got some difficult parents or some difficult things happening in the relocated chart. But usually it's a nice health place. The body can feel very vital, very healthy, very energized, very lit up, because the ascendant is the physical body as well as you and your identity. So the sun ascendant line is a really nice place, can veer on the side of overconfidence or arrogance or being kind of egocentric, but it is a great place for discovering who you are and stepping into your leadership and your aspirations in life. Next up, we have the opposite of the sun ascendant. The opposite of you is other people. So relationships, partnerships, interactions, others. What you see in others and what you're manifesting subconsciously in the relationships and interactions from other people, but also this is showing the story of people in your life. So when the sun is on the descendant point in the relocated birth chart, or you'll see it on the map, because again, the map is based on the relocated birth chart. So I really recommend checking out that video on the top mistakes people typically make. The map is based on the chart, so you can't separate the two. They're both showing the same thing, but the map software was created in the 70s and giving you a little visual snapshot of what's going on. The sun descendant. So this is all about relationships, interactions, partnerships, people, what you're subconsciously attracting in others, but also the embodiment of people in relationships. So expect this place to be social, energizing, outgoing, not introverted. Depends on your natal sun, but expect this to be a place of meeting and interacting with people and having a bigger social life. Can also meet your partner here. Planets on the descendant can be indicators of that, especially in the relocated 7th house. Next up, we have the sun midheaven, which is all about promotions, achievement, being seen, and visibility, public recognition, social status, career and vocation. If you want to be a leader, if you want to shine as a teacher, a guide, a performer, an actor, someone who is visible on a public stage or taking interviews or doing collaborations with others on a Sun MC, this is a place where you can expect more growth in terms of visibility and also achievement and recognition for solar type work. So if you want to be on a radio show, if you want to be a podcaster, if you want to be a YouTuber, Sun MC lines can be really great for that, but also taking on more leadership roles in your company or vocation. You want to look to the relocated chart to see where that Sun and MC are in. So is it the 11th house, the 10th house, or the 9th house? That's going to give you some more information and detail as to where this is pertaining for you in your life. Be sure to check out that relocated chart. Lastly, we have the sun IC, which is all about home and family life and domestic life. So taking that solar light-filled energy, that self-expression, that creativity, that fun energy, but also that spiritedness, and bringing it into the home and domestic life, whether it's in the 3rd house, in your local community, siblings and connections, and also the local area. The 4th house, which is more the home, the family unit, being a parent, and also retirement. Seeing where that relocated sun IC is placed can give you some more context as to how this is pertaining for you. But the sun IC line is a great line for retirement overall. You do want to be sure to look at those parents though. If you've got a beautiful sun line somewhere in the world, but you've got a really difficult parent, like a moon Saturn parent, that's going to really make it more difficult for you than if you lived 45 minutes north on a better parent. Again, latitude matters. And if you're only looking at the astrocartography lines and you're not looking at the latitude crossings and you're not measuring the distance, you won't know what the story is like for you unless you add those extra details. So, but it is a more private part of the chart. It is more unseen. The IC is more about home and family and your personal life. And it's less public and recognizable like the sun midheaven line or what your goals are career-wise and vocation-wise. There's more the goals of the heart in terms of your home and your personal life and your family life. So if that was something that was of interest to you, or you wanted to connect with roots or ancestry or lineage or the culture of a place, an IC line can be really helpful for that. So those are the 4 angles with the sun line. Be sure to look at the relocated chart to see which house this is happening for you. That will give you some more context and information on what area of life that sun and that angle are in. But I hope that this video was useful for you and helpful for you. And if you did want to learn more, be sure to get my free cheat sheet so you can read all the descriptions of all the different astrocartography lines down below. You'll get that free cheat sheet. I also have a free astrocartography guide, which you can get. And when you do get those guides, you'll also get all of my free emails. So I have all these free tips, resources, stories, experiences that people have had on their lines, including myself. I share all of my information and knowledge with you for free on my newsletter, which you can get via email when you sign up and get one of those free guides. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you have a magically solar day, and I'll see you next time here on the channel.